How do you feel about what Angela Rayner has just said there? Should there be a bit more of an attitude of shoot first, ask questions later in the police?
There's a lot to her comments. And first of all, thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you.
I love the bow tie.
Hey.
And you've covered quite a lot in your preamble as well. What I have to say is that the majority of police officers don't want to carry guns, and they wouldn't want to be the executioners. So you mentioned executing people. That's not terminology that most police officers would like to be referred to as, because it's a big decision to take a life. It's a huge decision. And it's different when you see a person attacking or with a knife or with a gun or throwing petrol bombs. It is completely different. But when they haven't actually done anything, you don't know how good the intelligence is or the evidence that you have. And you have to be sure. There's a lot of people that get drawn into terrorism who are actually mentally ill, youngsters who are mentally ill, who need help. So, sorry, go on.
But I'm quite keen to know how are some of these orders given as well is the thing, because the implication there for Angela Rayner is saying is that actually maybe we're a bit too reserved. Well, are we reserved, or is it just the person carrying the gun who's reserved? You know, do officers who are armed go out there? Maybe they're doing some surveillance on an individual, right? Are they given quite a clear remit? If you see fit, then pull the trigger.
They have to ask for permission. So normally they have to have a commanding officer to say, yes, we now give you authority. If there is an attack actually happening in front of them, it's different. They can take that action themselves. So there's a distinction between believing an attack is going to happen or actually witnessing an attack. And I know that sounds really wrong, actually waiting for somebody to do something. But in this country, policing is by consent. And it is a democracy. Police officers do not go around shooting people who are suspected of offences, because then afterwards they have to. Well,
that's true.
They will be held to account.
There are a lot of people as well who are becoming increasingly annoyed, actually, at what is perceived to be a bit of a lack of protection for us. We've had, some incidents, for example, the Manchester arena bomber, Salman Abedi. He was being monitored for quite a while. The Streatham attack in Arcade didn't kill anyone, but he stabbed 2 people. He was under surveillance. The amount of times that people hear Quran, but, for example, from London Bridge, was filmed in a documentary called Jihadis Next Door on Channel 4 that went out, and he was unfurling an ISIS flag in Regent's Park, wasn't he? And can you understand why some members of the public think, look, these kind of people with this kind of ideology can't be reformed, and if they do get caught and convicted, then we should have the death penalty?
What I would say to those individuals is that there are a lot of people in this country who are being followed. A lot of people do get rehabilitated, so they don't always end up, in those terrorist acts. So I don't agree that we should be killing people because they are suspected. I don't actually agree with that. Because a lot of these people are, as I say, they are young people who've got health issues, and they can be treated and dealt with appropriately.